So people that have some sort of mental health disability and get maybe $800 a month, this puts them down below that 50% of their total income, and it's a huge advantage.
I think this is just such a tremendous benefit to the community. We at the Poverello Center provide shelter and emergency services, but it's really the next step of getting people into housing that is the most impactful in ending homelessness. And organizations like the Western Montana Mental Health Center and projects like this are going to make sure that happens.
First, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out today. This is a really nice, momentous occasion for us. We're pleased to be able to open the building. I've got a couple of special thank yous I need to do. First, my name is Paul Meyer. I'm the Executive Director of the Western Montana Mental Health Center, and we're pleased to have been in a partnership with the City of Missoula and the county in building this facility for homeless individuals and targeting our mentally ill population. The funding for the program came through the HOME program and the CDBG programs through Missoula. And Nancy Hart and Melissa Gordon are around somewhere. Right there. Thank you for your assistance there. Missoula County actually loaned us bridge funds to get the project going. So Commissioner Curtis is here somewhere representing Missoula County. Right behind me. Okay, I can't see behind. Sorry. I'd like to thank them. I'd also like to recognize our architect, Scott Bechtel, standing over here. Scott has done a beautiful, trying to hide. Beautiful job, Scott. Very nice design. Appreciate that. And Quality Construction, Flint Olson, Chris Nelson, and John O'Brien. I don't know if those individuals are in here. Right there. Thank you. Good job. With that, I'd like to turn things over to the mayor to say a few words of wisdom to us. You helped us originally dig the hole to get this place going. The city has been a great partner in looking at how do we respond better to our homeless population in this community. And affordable housing that offers a permanent solution to people is clearly a major piece of that. And we thank the mayor for being on board with us here. John?
That's really all I had to say. So that worked out very well. This is lovely. So what I realized is when we were here for the groundbreaking, we dug the hole in the wrong spot. We dug over there. Well, there was engineering involved at some point. Is that what happened? I thought as much. It is terrific to be here. I am always amazed at the work Patty and our friends at the Western Montana Mental Health Center do. These were my stomping grounds to a certain degree as a kid. This neighborhood is much changed, and it's much changed in many ways for the better, because this is another edifice that is testament to Missoula's capacity for caring for each other. And it is tough enough some days to live this life if you don't have a hang-up, a challenge, a complication, an ache or a pain or a tear, hungry belly, a scarred psyche. It's all tough enough. But add homelessness to the mix, and then think about, contemplate how complicated your life is and how miserable that life must be and how much you suffer at the hands of daily activity. And think about all of that changing quickly, compassionately, miraculously, and fundamentally affordably with a place like this. Suddenly, you know where you're sleeping. You know where your refrigerator is. You know your address. And that address is all that you need to move just a little bit further down the line. That address is all you need to have some sense of permanence, some sense of stability, and some sense that you matter to somebody. You matter enough that you have an address. And if you matter that much, maybe the next step is easier, right? Maybe the next day is a little less painful. And maybe, just maybe, one day is pain-free and life is good. That's what a place like this represents, right? It's more than bricks and mortar. It's more than sticks and plaster, appliances and paint. This is a manifestation of us doing the right thing for one another. So thank you for all of that. And thank you for being here today. I look forward to seeing many folks live happily and comfortably in this fabulous shelter.
I have the honor of introducing Ricky Hendrickson, representing Senator Tester's office. Ricky?
Thank you. The Senator couldn't be here today, but he wishes you all well. Thank you for inviting me to share a few words. I want to thank the Western Montana Mental Health Center, the City of Missoula's Home Investment Partnership, and Community Development Block Grant for your work constructing the John Lynn Apartments. These 8 new apartments prove what folks can accomplish when they work together. Because of your hard work, collaboration, and commitment to your community, 8 new families have a place to call home. We know that families who have a roof over their head are more likely to hold down a job and their kids do better in school. Providing safe and affordable housing is a worthwhile investment. And the work done by you folks here in Missoula is making a difference for the homeless and for folks who work just as hard as everyone else but sometimes get left behind. We must do a better job providing housing to those who need it. Waiting until they are homeless or at risk is too late. We've seen the statistics. Homelessness among veterans and Native Americans is too high. That's why I support an initiative that makes housing vouchers available to tribes. Currently, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development provides housing vouchers to veterans but doesn't work with tribes. I have legislation that would fix that. I also support bipartisan legislation that would reform our housing finance system. It would preserve the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage so more families can have a shot at home ownership, while also protecting taxpayers so they aren't on the hook if another financial crisis hits. But solving homelessness isn't just about housing. It's about prioritizing mental health care and making sure that folks have access to treatment. Solutions to these problems aren't going to just happen in Washington. It needs to happen here on the ground with organizations like the Western Montana Health Center and Provarello Center, which I toured last week. The bottom line is we must do better for those who need our help, and I am proud to be your partner in that fight. Thank you again for your great work, and keep in touch.
Senator Daines could not be here, but I've asked Commissioner Jean Curtis if she would read the letter from Senator Daines' office.
Thank you.
To the Western Montana Mental Health Center, congratulations on opening of the John Lynn Apartments. I regret that I could not be with you to celebrate your work and commitment to Montana's adults, youth, and veterans in need of assistance coping with mental health challenges and substance abuse. The Western Montana Mental Health Center continues to provide much needed services and is constantly a source of positive change for patients in Missoula and other western counties. Montana was privileged to have John Lynn choose to establish his career in Missoula and spend over 30 years dedicating to improving the quality of life for all Montanans confronting mental illness. This new 8-unit apartment building for fellow Montanans with disabilities is a testament to his life's work and the work you all continue to pursue. On behalf of all fellow Americans, Montanans, I claimed Americans, thank you for your tireless commitment to improving the health and wellness of our communities. Enjoy the festivities, and I look forward to seeing Western Montana Mental Health Center take continued steps to improve Montana's mental health care. Signed, Senator Steve Daines.
Next, we have Jeremy Carpenter representing Representative Zinke. Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you for inviting me to join you for the ribbon cutting at the new John Lynn Apartments. As you might imagine, the first weeks have kept me focused on familiarizing myself with the nuances of Washington, D.C. and establishing offices and personnel to properly serve the citizens of this great state. Affordable housing is a great challenge, not only in Missoula, but across all of Montana. We are all neighbors, and the John Lynn Apartments will set a foundation for the disabled and homeless to climb the ladder of opportunity. Please be assured that I will do everything possible to be your voice in Washington, D.C. and Montana when important issues relating to affordable housing arise. Montana deserves the very best from their elected representative, and I pledge to work diligently to serve you all. I ask for your help in keeping me and my staff informed on the overwhelming effects of affordable housing for the homeless and disabled. We need to work together to continue making local investments in the community so having a safe, reliable, and affordable housing is a reality for all citizens in Montana. Again, thank you very much for inviting me to speak today, and please do not hesitate to keep in touch with me through our state offices. Sincerely, Ryan Zinke.
have the pleasure of introducing County Commissioner Jean Curtis to speak from her own perspective as a member of the Western Montana Mental Health Center Board of Directors and longtime supporter of services here.
Thank you. So it's my pleasure to be here. It's also been Missoula County's pleasure to be involved with the 10-year plan to end homelessness. We are partnered with the city on that project. And this is just one piece in the step forward. Don't you wish we could just drop a few more of these around the community? Apparently there's a demand. It's also very fitting that it's named after John Ernest Lynn. John worked tirelessly in this community and all of Western Montana to improve people's access to mental health and the services that they received. And so it's a really fitting way for us to name this after John, and we're really glad that his family's here today. See Laura Lee and the boys. And as I said, we need to continue to work because this will serve 8 people. We have a demand that's much bigger than that. So thank you for coming today, and thank you for your support.
I have the pleasure of introducing David Cockrell, friend of John's over the years and somebody knowledgeable about services that we offer.
I think it's great that homeless people with mental illness can have a place to live, that we need our benefits and healthcare coverage and assistance, and because we're unemployable because of our disabilities, and this is by no fault of our own. And it's not a free handout given to able-bodied people, because if they were, I would just say to get a job. People with mental illness, that's not what the circumstances are at all. And it's great that we have a place to house some people who are homeless, who have mental illness, and it's very important to me that this happens. And the services, the tax dollars spent on services for people with mental illness are well spent. That way people with mental illness don't have to isolate and be in an unendurable situation. And thank you.
Next, I'd like to invite up Laura Lee Evans-Lynn if she would have a few words to say about our dear friend John.
So everybody's having trouble with this thing. So where should one stand? Just, this looks really bad back there.
Say go forward a little bit, maybe.
A little, can I do that? Yeah. Okay. I'm a writer, so I have to spin a story. And I'm also a teacher, so I'm going to speak very loudly, or try, anyway. It was 1980. In September, John and I were headed to Missoula from Spokane so I could go to graduate school. We were newly married, and John was, this is ridiculous. This is the beginning. Stop. We were newly married, and John was thrilled to be applying with the Mental Health Center as the director of River House. That summer, we drove over in John's little white MG. He parked in the Fort parking lot under those beautiful trees, and I dozed in the shade during his interview. John had already decided if the mental health job didn't pan out, he'd like to drive bus for Mountain Line. Because the Mountain Line buses are Mercedes Benzes. Did you know that? I did not know that. Yes, in addition to working in mental health, John also loved cars. In particular, sometimes a little too fast cars. In fact, one of John's great stories is from the early days when he was driving a client somewhere in town. John took a corner, much like he took many corners when he was driving, more than likely a little fast. The line which erupted from that client in the probably too tight turn, and I cannot do this justice. Hold her down, Newt! And it is like the line that went on and on and on. and I used it more than once, with a few other things afterwards. It occurs to me only now that this line exemplifies how John Lynn approached life. His brain was always moving, fast, and maybe the cars were just a way for him to try and keep up. He wanted always to do the right thing, for clients, for managers, for the center. He took lots of tight turns. In retrospect, it may have been his signature, but he moved this organization. Some of the most important work he did was with the legislature, advocating for those among us who do not have enough opportunities to speak for themselves. This building, this project, he would be proud it carries his name. In the end, John Ernest Lynn was salt of the earth. He was real. He was a mensch. That was one of the highest compliments of others he gave others, and not one he used lightly or often. I think it's that kind of spirit that has built this place. Melinda Mason, a close colleague of John's and former director of River House, said it beautifully at the groundbreaking for these apartments last spring. She spoke of the fact that John knew more than one side of the therapeutic equation. He was a clinician, and he was an administrator who worked for 33 years for the mentally ill of Montana and the people who served them. He also dealt with severe depression himself. He knew how an event can come upon one seemingly without warning and change one's life utterly. He knew how difficult it is to find your way back from that place. He knew how important community and support are in finding your way again. I would like to believe these apartments, filled with color, with light, with resources, are here to help people who, for whatever reason, need that kind of help. Thank you, Patty Kent. PK. I'm pretty sure John is the only one who called you that. Thank you, PK, for writing endless grants, for building functional, uplifting housing that understands that the spaces we inhabit affect how we feel about ourselves and what we are able to be in this world. Thank you, Commissioner Jean Curtis and the Missoula County, Mayor John Engen and the City of Missoula for recognizing this very serious need and partnering in this most important endeavor. And thank you, Paul Meyer, who chose to give John Ernest Lynn's name to this place that offers respect, dignity, and empowerment to those who need it most. My family had a special song that I grew up singing, and whenever we were together, John requested it. I need a little water. Dona nobis pacem. Grant us peace. My sons, Gabriel Lynn, Madison Lynn, his girlfriend, Kaylee Shoemaker, and I would like to sing it here today. May peace be with the people who live in this house. May peace visit the Western Montana Mental Health Center as a whole. May peace be with each of us.
Dona nobis Dona nobis pacem, pacem. Dona nobis pacem. Dona nobis pacem, pacem. Dona nobis pacem. Dona nobis pacem, pacem.